Tuesday the 14th, 7-day moon. That looks pretty much like a half moon, maybe a little bit shy of it, maybe tomorrow. You can see there's very little in the way of cloudification around the moon. However, it is quite bright. It's about 8:45 right now. I'm just going out to the observatory in order to set up the scope. I'll probably just do a little sampling tonight in the night sky. I have no real plan for this evening. However, the idea would be just basically to get a sense of the effect the moon would have on various deep sky studies. So let me go ahead and liberate the observatory a little bit. Open up one of the roof tries. Latch it down against the wind. Open up access portal. Push it off to the side. Turn on the Gemini 2 mount controller. Wait for it to come to warm restart. Initializing the hand controller. I'm not seeing any of this because this camera is set up primarily for the TFT monitor screen. I'm seeing a little bit. What I typically do is I know it loses about 3 seconds every day, so I get the time. I say 1001, 1002, 1003 and set it so it'll reset because it gains about 3 seconds a day. And then the next step is to go to a bright star, and typically right now that would be Arcturus, which amazingly enough, there's Arcturus. And let it run. Whilst I step outside the observatory, open up the second roof try, which basically allows me to see to the south and the south, a bit to the southwest. What I might try to do this evening, I'm going to make it a brief observing session. I'll see if I can pick up the Leo trio tonight. The moon is probably pretty close to Regulus. Yeah, in fact, I think they're about 4 degrees apart. So the moon will be quite a factor in that regards. All right, let's wait for about a half an hour and see what we can turn up. Well, this evening under a 7-day moon, just about to exit the first quarter. I've got a short list of galaxies in Leo, and they're fairly condensed around the tail, or the hindquarters of the great celestial lion. I'm going to start with NGC 3593, Galaxy Leo. You can see it quite obviously on the screen. And despite the luminosity of the moon, it's pretty present. And that's because it's magnitude 10.9, 4.9 by 2.1 arc minutes, so a suboblate spiral of class A, so it's once removed from the lenticular. The galaxy is 24 million light years distant, which puts it probably somewhere around 40,000 light years in diameter. We're at right ascension 11 hours 14 minutes 36 seconds and declination 12:49:02. And despite the presence of the moon, because I picked out some brighter galaxies from Will Terrian's Atlas of the Sky, doing a little research in advance so I don't have to step through the Gemini 2 database, I found these 6 or 7 galaxies for us to peruse and get a sense of the effects of a moon that's about maybe 25 degrees distant from this part, because the moon is in fact just about to enter into Leo at this time. So not a bad view, but of course you got to be particular about what you want to see when you have the lunacy prevailing on a night sky. So we're about to make our leap to a second study, 3596. So give me a chance to do that now. Okay, what's taking place on the screen right now is another galaxy in Leo, probably not more than 2 or 3 degrees from where 3593 was located. Like I said, all these galaxies are clustered. NGC 3596, another galaxy in Leo, fainter and a little bit larger and purely face-on. This is a magnitude 11.3 galaxy, 4.1 arc-minutes square. So 4.1 by 4.1. It's a spiral with a bar and a lowercase c, so 3 times removed from lenticular. 50 million light years away, and so probably somewhere around 75,000 light years in diameter. We're not seeing much more than the core of this face-on galaxy with little hints of luminosity. So here's our view. I'll give it a moment or so that it can fully formulate on the screen. Of course, I could fiddle around with screen brightness a little bit, but I don't want to make an experiment of this tonight. So let's have a look at our next study, which is going to be 3623. So we got a little bit of a leap going on here now. So you go ahead and watch this as I go ahead and finger in 3623. NGC 3623 is another galaxy in Leo, of course. It's bright and large, but nearly edge-on. Magnitude 9.3, 9 by 2.3 arc-minutes. The galaxy is a spiral with a bar, lowercase a, 32 million light years distant. So that puts this one at about 80,000 light years in diameter, a little smaller than our own Milky Way. It, of course, at magnitude 9.3, was bright enough to be detected by Charles Messier to enter into his catalog, and is otherwise known as entry number 65. And despite the moon, we are seeing some really extended views of its spiral arms going off both sides of the screen. I'd say at least as far as maybe 7 arc-minutes across the field. Not bad for a 9 arc-minute sized galaxy, at least in regards to its optical wavelengths of light. So we are looking at Messier 65, and I will go ahead and allow that to continue to develop as we head to our next galaxy, NGC 3627. This should just be a little bit of a leap. And we will allow this galaxy to take form on the field even as Messier 65 disappears in ghostly form on the TFT monitor. Of course, you may recognize this galaxy, NGC 3627. It's even brighter than NGC 3620. Let's see, that was 23. NGC 3627, another galaxy in Leo. Magnitude 8.9, 9.1 by 4.1 arc-minutes, so a little bit sub-oblate in terms of its extension and aspect ratio. Spiral with a bar and lowercase b, 29 million light years distant, puts this one also about 75,000 light years in diameter. It was also an entry in the Messier catalog, and given its proximity to Messier 65, It was discovered readily, probably on the same night, Messier 66. So here's our view, and a quite nice one, despite the fact that we have a 7-day moon within 25 so degrees of both Messier 65 and 66. I'm going to go ahead and dial in the next galaxy, which is very close. And let's go ahead and just make the leap straight away to it so you can watch it develop on the screen. Okay, NGC 3628 completes a trio of galaxies that we know of as the Leo Trio. It's magnitude 9.5, but much larger, so lower average surface brightness, probably around magnitude 14, maybe slightly less than our Messier 65 and 66, which were probably somewhere on an average surface brightness of one magnitude brighter. NGC 3628, a pretty much edge-on galaxy with a 4:1 aspect ratio, magnitude 9.5, spiral with a lowercase b, twice removed from the mature lenticular class, 32 million light years distant, and given that, I would say this galaxy is probably somewhere around 100 to 110,000 light years in diameter. We're at right ascension 112016, declination 133519, and in a low power field of view, let's say you were operating at 40x in a 40 to 50x with a 60-degree field of view, you should be able to fit all three of these galaxies into the same eyepiece view. And that I have seen in the past, and it is quite spectacular to see these three galaxies grouped together in the eyepiece of, let's say, a 6-inch or larger scope. So NGC 3628 completes the Leo Trio. Our next galaxy is going to be a bit more of a leap, so I'm going to turn off the camera at this point. And looking at the display, we are getting a very nice view of NGC 3628. We should now be seeing NGC 3655, Galaxy in Leo, forming on the screen. Magnitude 11.6, but quite small, 1.5 by 1 arc minute. Yeah, that is pretty small for a sub-12th magnitude galaxy. It's 72 million light years distant, which probably puts it somewhere around 35 or 40,000 light years in diameter actual. The galaxy is a spiral with a lowercase c, which means 3 times removed from the lenticular class. We're not getting much in the way of a view on this one, although there is some nebulosity going off to the 9 and 4 o'clock positions. No doubt we would get a better view if that moon weren't so, that 7-day moon weren't so close. But it's nice to have been able to turn it up. NGC 3655. Our final view for the night is going to be NGC 3666, and we will carpe noctem out on it. Okay, let's watch NGC 3666 take form on the screen. As soon as the scope repositioned, I actuated the camera. I will give you the data on this galaxy. It should pretty much form on the screen within 40 seconds of my pushing the button, and I will check that on the manana. NGC 3666, another galaxy in Leo, magnitude 12, 4.6 by 1.3 arc minutes. That's a fairly large 12th magnitude galaxy. And one of the reasons, it's a spiral with a bar and lowercase c, so it's relatively immature galaxy at 42 million light years distant. That puts it at about half the size of our Milky Way, so somewhere around 45,000 light years in diameter. This will be our Carpe Noctem view. We're getting a sense of edge on with this galaxy, a 3 to 3.5 to 1 aspect ratio. We are at right ascension 11 hours, 24 minutes, 26 seconds, declination 11, plus 11, 20 minutes, and 32 seconds. And have a nice look at this one. And we shall bid you adieu by saying Carpe Noctem.